Hey everyone, I am the TheChosenOneLegend here, as always joined by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Kai, also known as Fascurreyn.
And welcome back to the BunchaJokahs podcast, where we talk bits of gaming and Nintendo news and highlights from the past month. And now we're in a new year and it's weird and I don't like it, but how's your new year been, Kai? You doing alright?
Yeah, it's pretty chill at the moment. I'm actually, weirdly enough, like I mentioned, finding more time to play games rather than losing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm in a pretty good spot, chilling. Not got too much going on, but, plenty to talk about still.
Yeah, I mean, there hasn't been too much happening news-wise. We definitely got some big things to talk about, the Game Awards and some other kind of random announcements. But we'll make up for that in games we've been playing, that's for sure. So stick around for that. Of course, as always, there will be timestamps in the description below if you want to check out the different sections. But let's get things started with our first segment of the podcast, Can't Have a Podcast Without News Baby, where we go over the highlights that we want to pick out from December in this case. And starting things off, this is technically very end of November, but we recorded the podcast like the day after it happened, so we're including it here, if we can remember it this far back. And that's the Level 5 showcase, where they brought back the epic Level 5 pose, but also had some game announcements in there. And what did you think of it, Kai, if you can recall?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I did watch it when it happened. And, yeah, I mean, obviously I was there for the Inazuma 11 part and also Layton. Yeah, it was good. I like that they're making their own directs at this point, and they're, because let's be real, of course Level 5 didn't really do stuff in the main directs as is, but if they did, they would, Layton wouldn't have gotten that much time dedicated to it. Inazuma 11 would have probably been in that compilation they put near the end of all the random games no one cares about. So I'm glad that they're doing their own directs as a premise, because I actually get to, see more about games I enjoy.
Yeah, that makes sense. And they really did go in on Inazuma 11 for a while. I mean, that's their most recent game that's upcoming. Although we still don't have a release date yet, besides a kind of expected pushback to 2024. They did, however, show off there's a beta, isn't there? Early spring this year, so that's interesting.
Yeah, so they said that the game is obviously not going to come out in 2023. Obviously, we know that for sure. I was saying before this, it's been delayed and cancelled so many times that until it comes out, it's just not real in my eyes. Yeah, it said that there's going to be a beta test in March, I believe it was. I'm just checking on my phone now.
Right.
Where people can play a little bit of the game, I think it was, if memory serves, I think it's a tiny bit of story, and also, a lot of online is going to be available, so that they can make sure that it works, I think, is a start. And, test the inevitable bugs that are going to appear. Which I always welcome. I think that all games are good with doing that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that'll happen in I think it's the end of March or something, and we'll talk about that when it happens. And then the actual game will be released, I would like to think, near the end of this year. I think that's what they said. And I'm chill with that. So yeah, overall though, it was good. Inazuma 11 had some focus. It had a lot of focus on snippets of the story, and how it really leans into strategy. And I love it. I think it's really cool. Obviously, it's less accessible for most people. So I'm not saying it's necessarily a good choice, but I personally really like it because it feels like it's really taking some of the more technical aspects and making them cool. So I'm in favour.
It looked really interesting, honestly. It seems, obviously I've been watching you play the main games for the past year, basically, and it seems like there's all the familiar details, but there's so much more into it as opposed to just, less luck, I would say, of the chances of this doing this, but more you actually have to not just hope for the best, but strategize around that in an interesting way. And I'll wait as long as it takes for Deer. We know he's in there, and he has become my icon at this point. So as long as it takes, I'm ready for him. But
yeah,
it is looking good. And they showed off a bit of Layton as well. They showed off a full puzzle with a house and doors. And what did you think of that the new direction for Layton?
I think it's good. You know, the door puzzle honestly felt like it is sort of that's prime Layton.
Yes.
I thought it fit right in with what Layton does, like especially that as an opening puzzle. I don't think it is the opening puzzle, right? It was like number 35 or something.
I believe so. Yeah,
right.
I think it's later.
But even still, yeah, I think that puzzle does epitomise what Layton puzzles are about, which is a very good step in the right direction. Yeah, overall, I just think the style that they made fits. It's a decent advancement. No real complaints.
The only thing I had is that Luke's eyes scare me. It's something about his face. I don't know what it is, but and I know people have said, like our friend Carl said, and that Layton's always had a bit of an odd time going into 3D. And
yes.
Part of me does wish that they'd gone back to like some really nice 2D sprites that sort of would constantly change as they're talking or something. I don't know, I kind of would have liked that. But it doesn't look bad or anything, and it looks like they're on the right track, at the very least, to make a solid game. Fingers crossed, whenever it comes out, so...
Yeah. I mean, overall, though, I'm glad that Level 5 is picking up the pace and doing some really cool stuff, because it did look like for a while that they were going to crash completely. You know, obviously... The thing about them is, if you didn't know, Level 5 was in its prime around 2010-ish, you know, around when both the first Inazuma 11 trilogy and the first Layton trilogy released. As well as, I think, like, the first Yokai game, the rest of the trilogies, Ni no Kuni. All of that was around the same, like, 5 or 6 year bundle. And they were just super successful. And then a period of maybe, I want to say like 2014 onwards, till like, 2 years ago maybe, they just leaned into mobile games. Like, they just made a ton of mobile games. Obviously, they're doing that blockchain stuff with Ni no Kuni, which I don't even know how much involvement they have in that. They weren't making proper games anymore, and I think they tried a different strategy, which obviously didn't pay off. So I'm glad that they are back on track with all the good stuff that people actually want to play. Yeah,
it does, as you were saying earlier about being scared of still not believing that Inazuma 11 is going to come out until it actually does. In general, there's been a lot of everything got delayed, basically. Or there was a few other games they had, and that does slightly scare me, like, don't get cancelled. You know, there's still time. But it looks like they're on the right track. They're showing off quite a lot of the games and quite a lot of details of them, which you don't do unless you have some level of confidence in them. So, yeah, I'm optimistic, and when they start coming out, like the beta for Inazuma 11, I'm going to be trying it, so hopeful. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, lots of potential, but it's only potential for now. We need to wait until these things actually come out. Very true. Time will tell. But that wasn't all we got throughout December. We also, there were a lot of just random, weird, out of nowhere kind of announcements, like Lego Fortnite? That's a thing now. And apparently it's actually quite good. I mean, it looks impressive. Yeah. It is a funny one, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. I haven't looked too much into it, but I've seen a couple like videos and screenshots and things like that. And it's very funny. I mean, the Lego, like, it's weird how well the Lego series, if you will, has been doing. Like, you know, obviously it was a nostalgia thing with the old Lego games that used to exist 10 years ago, but, like, they've kept up. I mean, obviously that Star Wars one that came out a little while back was really good. I played quite a bit of that myself, actually. And then they're keeping on with, like, Lego Fortnite that's actually good, and it's like... Yeah. Okay, I guess they can do anything now. Lego Xenoblade, when? Hello? I want that, but I also don't want that because I treasure my wallet. I mean, I've already got like admittedly I got some Lego Star Wars for Christmas. I'm literally staring at it right now. It's cool, and I love Lego, and I don't need to be bankrupt. But I mean, this kind of makes sense in a weird way. Like, Fortnite has that building element to it, doesn't it? So, you know, you put Lego in there, it kind of it's a weird fit, and I haven't played it myself, and I probably won't, but it's cool that Fortnite is actually doing things to spruce it up, rather than just, here's Peter Griffin in Fortnite, you know. They're doing some weird stuff. They added like a
a Rocket League kind of mode as well or something in there. They just had this big event, and good for them, even though I'm scared of free-to-play games now. But
can't blame you. Yeah, but it's fun, it's charming, and like you say, it fits. I now just can't stop imagining, like, certain Xenoblade, like, you know how the Lego games make, like, deaths from movies and whatever media they're using, like, really comical? I'm just imagining that with a certain scene right near the start of Xenoblade 1, and, like, God, I'm just...
They would do something like the... in vague terms for Xenoblade 1, but you can skip to the next timestamp if you really want to be cautious. But I can imagine something like, you see the claws go through, and they come out with, like, dripping red, and you see it's, like, pierced a crate of ketchup bottles or something like that.
Yes, you know, that's exactly
they would do something like that.
Oh, I can just imagine. Oh, I really want that now, because Lego slapstick comedy is so good.
Should we pitch this? We can get Samm to make a mock-up, can't we? I mean...
Honestly, I'm seeing some potential here. Let's get in touch with some people and make it happen.
Very true. BunchaJokahs making it big. Game design time. But but in the meantime, something else big. I mean, possibly I think this is the biggest thing in gaming in recent years. GTA 6 trailer. I mean, this game's gonna... They didn't need a trailer for it to do gangbusters. And let's be real, this trailer doesn't really show anything other than, yeah, it's GTA. But, you know, there's women in bikinis and there's fast cars and it's GTA. But it's already, like, done ridiculous view levels compared to all other games trailers in the last few years. So, they're doing something right, evidently.
Yeah, I mean, can I have a hot take on this one?
You may.
I'm not a fan of it. Like, I mean, obviously it's very easy to come onto a Nintendo podcast and go, I don't like GTA 6. That's not what I mean. I do play a lot of other, like, sort of games around that area. But,
yeah,
like, this trailer... And also, I think that GTA 5 is a good game. Let me be clear. Like, the online stuff and the heists and everything, really cool. I'm big... Although I don't play GTA 5, I'm a huge fan of it. But this trailer was, like... They didn't really do much... And they didn't really show anything. They gave it a release date that isn't particularly good. And I don't even think it's a new area. I think they've copied the same area from one of the other games. I think GTA 3.
I believe you're right. Is it Vice City? Is that it? Or maybe I'm thinking of another one.
But I think it's Miami, or I can't remember.
Miami,
exactly,
no,
I think they've just copied it from another game. And like, I just, if I was a GTA super fan, which I'm not, but if I was, you know... Would this really be good? Like, I would look at this and think, like, oh, it's good they're making another one, but, you know, it's all the same area, and I'm sure there's improvements, but there's, like, there's nothing appealing. This is like looking at a new FIFA game trailer, you know?
Yeah, I agree.
I don't appeal.
No, I don't doubt the game is probably going to be really good. I've played very little of GTA 5, but I already, in that, saw the appeal, and this will probably just... I'm sure there will be loads to it, but... For the fact that it's been, over 10 years, or about 10 years or whatever, since the last game, and this could just be another trailer for GTA 5, you know, it doesn't show anything new. It doesn't show anything about what the actual game is or what makes it worth playing over GTA 5. It's just like, this is certified GTA and that's it, but not even like gameplay. So, I don't think it was a very good trailer, but at the same time, I don't think they need it to be a good trailer. They just need to say GTA 6 has come in and people will lap it up, and they already have. So, yeah, I agree. It's not a good trailer, but they probably didn't need to have one, I suppose, given it's GTA.
That's true. It's just frustrating, because it's like, you know, so many people in my life have been talking about it. People who don't even particularly play games that much. We're like, oh, did you see the trailer? And people saying, like, oh, yeah, I saw the trailer. 2025 is a shame, but, oh, GTA 6... I don't think I've actually... Like, I've heard people talk about this game over and over again. I don't think a single one of them said it looked good or liked anything about the trailer. They just care that there is a trailer. And it's like...
Yeah.
It wasn't good. I didn't even think, like, you know, one of the few things that the trailer should have, if it's not showing anything interesting, is good graphics. I thought the graphics were kind of bad. And I'm not a graphics junkie. I couldn't care less if my game is whatever quality. But when you're not bringing anything else interesting to the table, at least make the graphics good to balance it out. Like, I just didn't think there was anything redeeming about it, but people will not stop talking about it, and it's like, there was nothing good here. I think it's just because GTA is such a mainstream game that, like you say, it doesn't need to be good. People just talk about it, and because, no offense to a lot of GTA fans, but a lot of them aren't people who play other games or look at other game trailers, so they don't have a standard. You know, they don't have a standard at all. You know, if you were to show me a 2020 movie trailer when I lived in the 1960s, I wouldn't have a clue. Like, I'd think, oh, that looks awesome, when it could be a trailer for one of those terrible Christmas rom-com movies. Like, because there's no frame of reference, you just assume it's good when it was a terrible trailer. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. I guess they know their audience, and like you say, this is very much like it could be like a FIFA trailer, and it shows nothing new. It looks just generic, but at the very least, unlike FIFA, they have a good reputation, so it will probably be a good game. So,
absolutely. Yeah, I think it'll be great. I just think this was an ass
it's just
trailer.
Funny, isn't it?
Everyone's getting hyped, but no one's actually calling it good. They're just, it's like, it exists, and it's like, yeah, we know that. We already knew that. Let's be real.
It's nice to know there are fans out there more annoying than Xenoblade fans, isn't it? It's comforting.
Well, let's not overstep that one yet. Oh, you seem to.
Oh well, fair play. But speaking of annoying fans, the Game Awards, anyone? They were a thing.
It's the same group.
Yeah, pretty much. But I mean, I didn't watch the show. All accounts, there wasn't really anything worth watching the show as per usual. Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year, which is sort of expected. And other notable ones for us were like Zelda won Best Adventure, Mario Wonder won Best Family, and Pikmin 4 won Best Strategy, which is cool to see that getting representation.
More on that later.
Definitely, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, do you have any thoughts particularly on those winners? I think it's all pretty standard. It makes sense, I think.
Yeah, honestly, like, you know, as we've established, the Game Awards isn't something we hold in high regard for its quality or anything like that. You know, it serves a different purpose than being the Game Awards, if that makes sense. There's not much to complain about, to be fair, apart from the one thing we'll get into. But overall, it was just like a completely average Game Awards that was fine and had very expected awards. I think Baldur's Gate makes sense, and all the other awards made sense. So overall, it was just like a very bog standard Game Awards with not much to note. The games announced weren't really too crazy to my knowledge either, so it was fine.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. As usual, there's nothing mind-blowing about it, and if you want the real good opinions, watch the BunchaJokahs Game Awards shorts that are currently releasing, and our Game of the Year discussion coming out mid-January, so maybe do keep an eye out for the goated opinions, as they say. Is that what they say these days? Goated?
That is the phrase.
Anyway. I knew it. Riz, that's another one. I know some words.
Yeah, let's move on there. The one bad thing about the Game Awards that people were talking about was apparently, and I didn't watch it either, so I don't know exactly the story, but because of last year's extensively long speeches, there was a big sign thing that was held up with a monitor, basically with a timer, and that timer I think had 30 seconds on it from when the people got up there and picked up the award, and once it hit 0, it just said wrap it up. Which I kind of understand in parts. Some people took way too long last year and it caused some major scheduling issues, and they just want something there in place because that issue would happen otherwise. But they didn't give them any time. Some people didn't even receive their award and start talking by the time the timer was up. Some people were talking about some really important things that needed more than 30 seconds when they really could have. And just wrap it up. It's something for them to work on, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's the problem isn't even it makes sense at a point. You have to limit things, you have to keep a show running. But the problem is the amount of time they gave them. These are the Game Awards. but they give so little time to the actual awards, and then, so much time to big trailers that a lot of people don't even particularly care about, and sponsorships. And then there's some even some producers they'll suck up to, like Kojima, who will get like 20 minutes on to talk about pointless stuff. The proportions and balance of it are completely off, which is why I'm glad I didn't watch it as per usual, especially because it's, like 1 a.m. for us or whatever. But it's a shame that it'd be nice to see them make those improvements. I'm not confident they will, but we'll see next year, I suppose. It'll be coming back. Especially, E3 is officially dead now, so it's pretty much all we've got. So,
yeah, but, it's just the Game Awards are just feeling very commercial to me. I don't know.
Yes,
they really don't.
They are
suit anymore. There's no Xenoblade 3 to stay up and get hyped about. So, I just don't think there's much to it, to be honest. It's fine for some people, but I couldn't care less.
Yeah, from a Nintendo perspective as well, like, there were no Nintendo reveals at the Game Awards this year, so there's not really anything for us to talk about here. The only thing I do want to mention is there was a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth trailer, and that game is still, like, one of my most hyped games. It's looking fantastic. They are still constantly teasing us with, like, referencing a certain Aerith scene, and they're like, oh, are we, aren't we, are we? And it's like,
yeah.
They're cruel. But there's like a new music theme for the game which sounds great, and they showed off characters like Sid in it, so it's all looking fantastic, and I'll be talking about that one come March, I suppose, maybe April's podcast by the time I get to play it. But yeah, that looks great. But otherwise, I'm guessing you don't have anything else to shout out from the Game Awards? I can't remember.
No, I do have to
ask,
did they drop a release date for that? Because I didn't see.
Yeah, I can't remember if that was before or not, or if that was at that trailer, but it's coming February 29th, I think. End of February, basically.
Oh, yeah, okay. I was going to say, I was thinking, I swear I know the release date for that. Yeah, that's the one.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I need to get on actually playing the remake first.
You own the first one, go play it, Kai.
That genuinely is on my... I know it's been on my backlog for about 2 years now, but genuinely I will probably get to it soon, don't worry. But yeah, I have no other notes, really.
Yeah, enjoy, that's all I'll say. It's a ride. But cool. Nearly at the end here, of the news highlights, one final thing that I want to pick out that came out like just yesterday. It's not technically been officially confirmed, but it's basically been said by the man himself, it seems, on like an Instagram post or something, that Jack Black is probably going to be playing Steve in the Minecraft movie.
Wait, I haven't heard this. Wait, are you serious?
Have you not heard this? Yeah,
no, this is news.
I don't know the exact details, but Jack Black apparently mentioned it in something on Instagram, and enough places are reporting on it that it seems legitimate. So I don't want to say this concrete. Maybe by the time this comes up, it'll be official, or it'll turn out with some sort of hoax. But that's in the air at the very least. So, I mean, I don't know, Steve isn't really a character, so you could cast pretty much anyone as him. But if you're going to cast pretty much anyone, Jack Black's not a bad pick, is he?
Oh, I'm a big fan of that, yeah. I think that's really... Yeah. I can see it working really well. You know, obviously Jack Black's still working on a ton of stuff, like he's got the new Kung Fu Panda movie coming out, etc. But, yeah, I'm super in favour of that, actually. I can see stuff happening, and... I'm almost kind of thinking, like, obviously there's that Minecraft story mode game that exists.
Yeah.
And the main character from that doesn't sound exactly like Jack Black, but you can definitely... I would definitely see how inflections from that could be enhanced by Jack Black and things like that. And just... Yeah, no, I like that pick. I think it's a good casting choice. I guess we'll see when like, we hear more about the movie and what actually happens in it, but... Yeah, no, I'm cool with that. That's very cool.
Although what this means is if Jack Black is playing Steve, that means they're going to be doing a reversal. And like Chris Pratt is going to be playing the Ender Dragon or something like that, whatever it's called.
It's me, the Ender Dragon.
No, it's not really the voice, yeah. Oh god, yeah. It's we'll see, but that is good casting at the very least. If it turns out to be true. It's still a rumour. Kind of. But yeah, that's pretty much it though for the month. So some interesting stuff, but let's move on to, of course, it's the holiday season. It's the time to play video games while we're off and avoid meeting up with family instead. We have our priorities right. So let's get started on that with our next segment, Games Time Baby, where we talk about the games we've been playing. And I know we've both got a few to mention, so why don't you start things off, Kai? What's one you've been playing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know where to start. Like I was saying, I have I think I've beaten 5 different games or 4, or I've beaten a lot of different games in a very short amount of time, and I'm not sure which to cover now and which to cover next month. I still now have no idea what to choose. I don't know if you have any advice for me on that.
I don't know. I just find it funny that basically you finished Tears of the Kingdom and then the floodgates opened. But
basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the first one I'll talk about was one that I finished on stream, just because then it'll be out the way. I recently played on stream Rakuen, which is a Laura Shigehara game. It's an entirely story-based game about this kid who's in a hospital. And then he finds a portal to another world called Rakuen, and then he basically understands the stories of all the other patients in the hospital through this magical world. And it's a short game. It only took me 4 streams to beat. It really didn't overstay its welcome. Really good story, really good music, everything like that. I've wanted to play this. I've had it in my Steam library for quite a few years now, because I've always wanted to play it. It's been a very personal one to me, and yeah, I've got to say I really enjoyed it. It's sort of what I expected in terms of just how it works and what the point of it is and that sort of thing. It's a really hard one to summarize, I think. But I can just say it's very good.
Yeah, I've heard of the game, but I really know nothing about it. And I sadly missed your streams because I was in the play, so I sort of missed the first few and thought, as it's a story-focused game, it's probably not a good one to jump in near the end of, I assume. But
probably, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it sounds like it was a good experience, so maybe it's one I'll pick up. It sounds like the kind of thing you need to go in fresh, right? And from my understanding.
Yeah, I mean, it's entirely story and very sort of an emotional kind of game. So
right,
sort of being prepared for that as you go into it. But yeah, I thought it was a great time. It's a really good one. Would recommend it if that's a sort of game that you're looking for. If you're looking for something full of action, then you go elsewhere. But
yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really good, so I'd recommend it to anyone who wants to play just a short story game. And sort of just find stuff out. I think it's fun. I gave a lot of thoughts at the end of my final stream of it, I think, so it's tough for me to remember all of it because that was a little while ago now. But yeah, no. Long story short, it's a very fun short game that does a lot of cool things and brings in a lot of ideas. Just have a box of tissues handy nearby.
Yeah, sounds interesting, but I'm going to go for my one here, and we're talking a lot of story stuff in this game, but in a very different approach, because it's that special time of year again. Forget New Year's, forget Christmas. It's time for my controversial thoughts on the Kingdom Hearts series, because I was playing Kingdom Hearts 3 and its DLC, which means I am nearly finished with the series now. And now, as you know, if you've been following, or if you haven't been watching us for a while, I've had a very up and down opinions on the series thus far. And Kingdom Hearts 3, I remember it coming out, and fans themselves were kind of mixed on it. A few people we know sort of have varied opinions. So I was wondering how that would affect my sort of outlook, and it turns out for this one, I feel like I'm pretty much in line with most people, which is, this is a good game. It's the first Kingdom Hearts game on a proper HD console, and to take advantage of that, and it makes use of stuff, but it's messy. Even for Kingdom Hearts standards, this is a messy game. And I guess to go into it a little bit, in terms of gameplay, it's basically the same sort of standard affair that you sort of expect from the series at this point. It plays mostly the same. There are some really nice refinements, like the UI is really cleaned up from the previous games. it actually allows you to like switch out keyblades, different style ones, even mid combo to like affect how you want to
cool.
play. And even what I really like is that it kind of merges together some gameplay mechanics from the previous games, including the spin-offs like the shotlock system from Birth by Sleep and the sort of parkour system from Dream Drop Distance. They're all sort of incorporated into here, so the gameplay itself is really fluid. I did think it's maybe a little easier, which I don't really mind because I'm not a big fan of the series, so I'm happy to blow through it in terms of gameplay. But I don't know, something about
Wait,
Kingdom
hang on.
Hearts...
Sorry, let me stop you right there. You say you're not really
Go
a
for
big fan of the series. How many of these games have you played now?
I'm telling you, it's like the Stockholm Syndrome. It's literally that. Or maybe I'm just...
I want to call you a
myself at this
professional
point.
hater. I think that's what it is. Like you want to
It
be
might
like,
be.
if I'm going to dislike this series, I need to be justified. I need to play the game so that I can confirm that I
True.
don't like them. You know, it's a bit cringe when people say, "Oh, this game is bad," without ever having like looked at it before. If you've played them all and you think it's bad, that's one of the most valid opinions you can get.
Exactly. And let's not pretend that I'm not getting people annoyed with all these, but they're the most valid opinions. Kingdom Hearts fans suck it. But the thing is, though, like generally, like it was okay, the gameplay. Like it just didn't feel quite as satisfying. There was something about it that didn't have that feeling of mastery of the gameplay that Kingdom Hearts 2 and maybe Birth by Sleep had. It was light years better than ones, but it just left. Yeah, it was okay. And I do think in terms of level design, that was also along the same lines. It was just kind of middling. Like the first world was really cool. It was Olympus from Hercules. And you had these things where you were like running up the mountains and it was very cinematic. But then the rest of the worlds just felt kind of generic, and there were loads of these open areas which weren't as interesting as just funneling you correctly through something. So it kind of left me like, this is a fine gameplay experience, but it's nothing mind-blowing. And at least it looks pretty in HD. Like some of the worlds from the animated movies now actually look like the animated movies themselves, which is kind of impressive. But let's be real here. People don't really play Kingdom Hearts for the gameplay anyway. They play it for the batshit crazy story. And that's here in full swing, but it's very messy. And the thing is, it's kind of like wrapping up the story arcs from all of the previous games. Like it's all been building to this. Which in some ways is really cool, because having played all the various spin-offs, there's payoff from each of them. You know, characters show up, places and things are referenced, and memories and all sorts. It all comes together, and having played everything, that's really hyped to see. It's kind of like, you know, the end game of Kingdom Hearts in a way. But the thing is, it's all backloaded to the like final third of the game. Like the first 2/3 are just basically your generic visiting Disney worlds. Not even for a valid reason. Sora's just kind of doing training. There's no real main story connecting it. And then everything happens in the third act, and nothing gets time to be satisfying or to feel it was earned. It just kind of throws so much at you that you're like, oh, and we're on to the next thing. And that's what kind of... Though some of the stuff in it's really cool, it's just so much happening that it feels like it could have used like 4 games to wrap up this arc, not all mashed into Kingdom Hearts 3. It's almost like that, you know, someone at Square Enix said, this is the last Kingdom Hearts game, so you have to finish it up now. And they're like, oh shit, we better just wind up all these loose ends we had. But that's not the case, because Kingdom Hearts 4 has been announced. But I don't know why they rushed it. It just feels that way. And that's why ultimately I was satisfied with how it wraps up. And I did enjoy it, and there were some very hype moments in it, but it feels like it could have been much better if it was given more time, is the thing. So, that's why I'm like, yes, this is a good game, but, messy, really. That is basically how to sum it up.
Are you summing up the game, or the entire Kingdom Hearts, like, storyline?
I mean, that is very relevant to the entire Kingdom Hearts storyline, granted. You are not incorrect in that assumption. But, and on that note, the one last thing I have to mention, I'll try to be quick about it, but I did also play the Kingdom Hearts DLC, and it was fine, but basically, it's the first half of the DLC is like a redux of the final area of the game that I just talked about. And in the terms of the story, there's reasons it makes sense, and it's kind of cool. And there was even like one cool ending to it, which was like a new boss fight, which was very cinematic and very awesome, but most of it was just repeating the final third of the game, which was basically a boss rush, and doing that boss rush again, but with some minor changes to it, which kind of feels like cheap for DLC, you know.
Yeah.
And then there was a second part of it, which was basically just super bosses, which in the first part I had to be 50 levels higher to even stand a chance against, which is done, and they lock story content behind it, which is done, but also the super bosses are harder versions of the boss fights that you literally just did in the first part of the DLC, which themselves is a repeat of the ending of the first game. It's so lazy, and although there's some neat story content in it, the fact that this costs like 20 quid full price, I got the entirety of the Kingdom Hearts series for 20 quid on sale. Like, it's ridiculous. The value
you
is
just
not
play Torna with that 20 quid, you know?
Yeah, like even something, you know, people are critical of Breath of the Wild's DLC, but that's like a complete massive value compared to this. This should have been free. Like, a lot of this being a redux of the final area of the game kind of feels like it just should have been in the main game, or at least free DLC. So whilst I didn't even hate what was in it, it's just really stingy and not worth the price. Well, I mean, it is if you can get it cheap, but it should have been more. So I'm still invested, because I hate myself for it, but I am invested at this point. And the rhythm game is the last one. It's the last one I got to play, and I like rhythm games, so gameplay wise they can't mess it up too badly, I think. But yeah, it's just pretty much, like you said, my experience at Kingdom Hearts 3 sums up my entirety of Kingdom Hearts experience, which is, it's a bloody mess. Why am I enjoying it? But here we are. So that's it. And I'll shut up now because that took far too long. But take over, Kai, please.
Oh god, I don't know which one to talk about next.
The pressure. Well, you did tease one game earlier, so
I
feel
did
like you
allude
kinda
to
have to mention
Pikmin. Sure, this is one's the highlight, so I'll go for it. I did end up playing Pikmin 4 after putting it out for a while, and obviously I was a little bit hesitant with Pikmin 4 at first. You know, I played the demo, and the demo wasn't particularly good, and well, not that it wasn't good, but the beginning of the game is very tutorial heavy. And I was like, God, I don't care, just let me play Pikmin, and the beginning of the game is obviously going to be slow, as you may expect. But I was like, you know, I'm still going to play it. It's Pikmin, of course I'm going to. I've only heard good things. And yeah, I've since 100% of the game. And I'm ready to play it again already. Like, God, it's so good. And it deserves Best Strategy Game of the Year. Like, Pikmin 4 is really, really fun. And it gives you more of what you want in the series. The only key downside is obviously it is missing 3 captains. But Ochi does operate exactly as a captain, so you still have 2. And there's not really a need for the 3rd. So, you know, that problem is largely mitigated. But the areas are good, the music's good, you get Ice Pikmin in this game, which are overpowered. Ochi is overpowered. If you're playing 2-player, it's overpowered. This game has so many things in it that are overpowered, but in return, it has some real nasty challenges later down the line. Like, it's interesting. They give you so many tools to be too strong, and then the game counters by also doing ridiculous things. And in an interview, I believe the developer said the difficulty of the game isn't meant to be in the battles or anything like that. It's meant to be from how efficient can you be, you know, going back through it and seeing what you can do better. The Dandori challenges in the game that are sprinkled out are an excellent idea. You know what I'm talking about because you've watched a full playthrough of this.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, but like the main areas were fun, the caves were great, the Dandori battles were good, the challenges were fun as well. Like, just I like how they sprinkled bits of multiplayer in, obviously, in form of like they were kind of the boss fights of each area. I think it introduced some cool new concepts like having leaflings in the game and bits like that. God, they love dogs for some reason. Like, the development team really, really like dogs, because up to this point the series didn't have dogs in much at all. And now suddenly it's all about dogs. Like, okay.
It's kind of like they saw like Poochie from the Yoshi series and were like, yes, we can do this. And they did it, and they did it well. So
Basically, yeah. But everything about
Yeah.
the game was really fun. I really like some of the extra content, we'll call it, that they throw late into the game. Just all the little extra modes that it gives. The main campaign is obviously really fun. I think everything about it is as solid as you can get with a Pikmin game. It really
Yeah.
delivered on a lot of fronts, bringing back difficulty from Pikmin 2 and caves and everything, while not being too unfair, mostly. The only exception being like that. What is it, like floor 17 in the final dungeon or something? I don't know. People who have played the game, again, they know what I'm talking about. But overall, it's such a solid game, Pikmin 4. They really did a good job overall, and obviously it's not perfect. Like, I think that some of the story, it was normal for Pikmin standards, but I wasn't really attached to any of the characters, or the story at all. And I do think that they should have let, in 2-player mode, one person play as Ochi rather than giving them Pebble Bolt or whatever it is, the gun.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
But, overall, especially for my experience, it was just super, super, super fun. I think I racked something like 40 hours in the end to beat the whole thing. But obviously, a game that emphasises playing through again and seeing what you can do better, you're meant to play it through again.
Yeah.
Give myself challenges or what may, I know I'm basically a broken record at this point, but I really wasn't sure about Pikmin 4 at first, and now I am super, super in favour of it. It's just a whole lot of fun, and they did deliver. So now we just wait until 2033 for another one.
True, but if it turns out like this one, clearly it will be worth the wait. So it was good, and it's really been nice to see the turnaround from both of our opinions, playing the demo to this. And I can't really say anything you haven't said from what I watched of it, but I guess I'll summarise it in: I've never been able to get into the Pikmin series. I've tried Pikmin 1 like 3 times. But watching Masai Nella play through this game made me want to try it a 4th time. So that's something. It looks very impressive, and I'm glad to see you. I knew you'd enjoy it, but I'm glad to hear you definitely did. So that's good to hear. And I guess I'll end things off here with my final game, which I literally beat like 4 hours ago or something. It's just in time. I got it for Christmas, and that's Super Mario RPG, the new remake on Switch. And I didn't play the original. I mean, I wasn't born when it came out, and it also didn't even come to Europe in the first place. So, but I never picked up the Virtual Console releases or whatever either. And this sort of provided the perfect opportunity, and yes, unsurprisingly, it's a good game. It's a really good game. I mean, I think what's nice about this remake is that it's sort of got that perfect balance of it captures the original perfectly. Like, you are playing a 90s RPG, but it does just the right adjustments so that it makes the changes it needs to overall. There's a few bits I'll say about, but the visual design is amazing. How it's one of the most vibrant and colourful games on the system, up there with like Mario Wonder, but it captures that style of the 90s Mario. The very like small and chunky toads in Mario. It's adorable. It's got so much charm to it, and I love it. And even like the designs in this game are so weird. Like, all the sorts of enemies you're fighting, most of the times you're looking at it, I'm like, what the heck am I even looking at? I can't tell. But it's great. It's got so much personality through it. And even though, the story's nothing to write home about, obviously, and even the characters don't have any depth to them, they're all very charming, and they've got, like I said, personality. The writing's good, Bowser's funny, and this is really the start of that. You see a lot of the kind of tropes that later Mario RPGs, like, Paper Mario and Mario and Luigi series would pick up on. And they're all sort of got their start here. And that goes down to gameplay, where at its core, it's a pretty basic RPG, but it does have, sort of the, the whole button timing system, and trying to get that right, which later RPGs pick up on. And it means that even though the game's pretty easy throughout, even when it's sort of like mindless fights against generic enemies, you still have to pay attention because you want to get those button presses right and nail the timing. And I still can't get them all the time, even after putting 15 hours into the game, you know. There's the thing where you can get endless Mario jumps, and I got up to 70. I want to reach 100, but God, it's stressful. And I get panic attacks when I try. It's scary. But it's
scary.
It's fun, though. Well, you have to like get the button press right 100 consecutive times, and when you get like past 50, you start freaking out like, I'm gonna mess up.
See.
I'm gonna mess up.
For some reason, the way you said it, I thought you were implying like you got scared on jump number 7, and I was thinking like, is it that? Like, what happens? Is there a jump scare every time you press the A button, or?
You jump number 7. They're just like the remote like shocks you every time you do a jump. It's a nightmare, it's torture.
Yeah.
But but yeah, like at its core, like I said, it's simple, but it's just fun when it comes down to it. The only things that kind of bother me in the game that I think didn't age very well were some of the elements outside of the RPG. So the mini games, basically. In classic 90s game tradition, it has loads of mini games. Think like Final Fantasy VII and the squats and whatnot. But none of them are good. Like, I love that they're in there, and I love the idea of doing these like silly little mini-game side things that have no real importance, but you can get some money. But they are the most unintuitive controlling things I've ever played in the game. It doesn't matter, because they're all like 30 seconds long and they're over. But I kind of wish they'd adjusted them, and maybe they were, but if they did, they didn't do a very good job of it, you know, to make them actually feel good. And there's the one or two small platforming sections that have the same problem, but they're really minuscule in the grand scheme of things, so it's not a huge deal. And whilst I would say, you know, I don't think anything about this game is mind-blowing. You know, people put this up as like one of the best games of all time, and I do think that's kind of a bit nostalgia talking, you know, as it is for a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's fair enough, but there's no denying that this is one of the most charming games I've ever played, and I just had a lot of fun with it, so I can't really dispute people. Like, after a year of playing, you know, big Xenoblade DLC and putting 150 hours into Tears of the Kingdom and whatever, just playing this goofy little fun RPG for 15 hours was a delight, and I would definitely recommend it. It's just a really fun game, and yeah, I can see why people love it so much, basically. It's good. You should play it, Kai.
Yeah. To be honest, it's one I'm meaning to get around to eventually. Like you say, it does just seem really charming, simple RPG, which I'm a fan of. It does really seem like it was in that era of just doing lots of really weird things with Mario. Like, that was kind of a phase for a while.
It's out there, yeah.
Yeah, and this is one of those games that really fits. So, yeah, no, I'm glad that it's been received really well, like, overall. You know, it's good to see for that game. So yeah, you know, no complaints really. I'm looking forward to trying it eventually.
Yeah, I mean, Mario RPG's making the comeback with this and the Thousand Year Door getting a remake next year, so it seems like the right time for bringing it back. And I can't go without mentioning, I nearly forgot, God, the music is good. Like, the original's good, and then the remixes, they just like straight fire throughout. Like, I mean, you expect something, it's Yoko Shimomura, you expect it, but it's damn good, so even if you're never going to play the game, any listeners, just listen to the music at the very least. But yeah, that's it, and that's it for the month, I think. We're pretty much done here. So that brings us to the end of the podcast. As usual, a big thanks to our friend Sam, the graphic designer who makes our thumbnail and logos, and has been working on the Game of the Year shorts we've been doing. So, you know, go check him out, and also go check those shorts out, as well as our upcoming Game of the Year discussion, wrapping it all up, which will be in January, so keep an eye out for that. But where else can people find you at, Kai?
They can find me at twitch.tv/Fascurreyn, where now that I'm done with Rakuen, I don't actually know what I'm doing yet. I need to like sit down and think about it. But I'll do something.
Astral chain.
Anything except that.
God damn it.
We'll find out eventually. I'll need to think about it.
True, there will be a link in the description below to that, of course. And again, stay tuned to BunchaJokahs for our Game of the Year stuff, for some of our opinions on that, as well as our regular monthly podcasts, reactions to any big directs, and all sorts of other gameplay stuff, and whenever we feel like it as well. All that here on Bunch of Jokers. But until then, have a good New Year, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Alright, see you.